Well, and I said going to the break kind of in jest that I bet those guys came and partied at my house when I was in college. And I'm not kidding you. This is a true story. I kid you not.
See, you said that was a fact.
That's a fact.
What the facts?
So in 1993-ish, I was at St. Edwards, and I've told people who listen to me for a while know that Dan Neal was a good friend.
Oh, yeah.
I've known Dan Neal since we were in middle school.
I love Dan Neal. I've worked with Dan Neal before. Dan Neal's so
one
cool.
of the nicer people you ever meet, and one of the best
fantastic.
offensive linemen ever to play at Texas.
Yes, no
So
doubt.
Dan Neal was the starting guard on that team. Well, also on that team was another guy we went to high school with named Shane Rink.
Okay.
And so we all had high school buddies. We all went to high school together. And how about that was the year, Rod Babers.
You were hanging out with a lot of offensive linemen?
Yes.
Bro, that's a certain, offensive linemen, they're a certain breed.
I know. Well, it's scary.
Right?
It's scary.
It says a lot about you, the kind of person you were. You were hanging out with old linemen, man.
Well, it was through friendships.
I know,
but also it was through this that that year, because of circumstance, I ended up with 3 roommates. It was 4 dudes, and we couldn't find an apartment, and we ended up going to this apartment locator agency, and they found us, Austin's only at the time, 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom apartment, and it was off Riverside. You know where the H-E-B is on Riverside East?
Mm-hmm.
Right behind that, there was an apartment complex called London Square Apartments, and what they had there was an apartment that they had taken out a wall and a kitchen of one of the units, so you had a 2,000-square-foot apartment.
Opened it up.
It had 2 doors, you had 2 front doors, 2 patios, so we each had a bathroom, and we each had our own room, all 4 of us.
It's nice setup.
One of us, and because the one kitchen was removed, it was massive.
Huh.
It was a big apartment. And it was in a bad part of town at the time. That's all been built back up in East Austin now, but right by the river there.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, it was not a good part of town. But 4 dudes living there. Point of it is, we'd go to 6th Street or we'd go to a party, and the party would always end up back at our place because we had 2,000 square feet.
Oh, yeah. You did have the party house. You had the party house. You had the house for entertaining.
And there were a couple of occasions where, because I have my friendship with Dan Neal and Shane Rink, and the offensive line would just show up. So I can tell you, in 1993 or thereabouts.
No line showed up. Man.
Here they go. They have Dan Neal. Blake Brockermeyer was playing left tackle for them.
Hey, there you go.
He's a great player.
Legend.
John Elmore was a player on that team. There's a guy named Ryan Feebigger on that team that played center and some interior line. And I was hanging out with all those dudes.
Pretty good old line right now. Sounds pretty damn
Pretty good
to me.
O-line.
Yeah.
Dominic Bustamante was a defensive tackle on that team, but they kind of bounced him back and forth. He used to come over all the time. So, yeah, that's who I was hanging out with. And I'll tell you this, Rod, you haven't lived until you're 21 years old and you're hanging out with offensive linemen from Texas and going to 6th Street.
No, I have.
And all you're doing I know you.
I've done it, and trust me, that's why I don't hang out with them. That was a once a month thing when I would hang out. I'd find myself in the same bar with the old line. I'm like, oh, no. I'm hanging out with the old lineman, like, Rod B. I'm like, no.
There was a one time
Wrong bar.
Exactly.
I was at a party on campus, and Connor Williams walked in, and he's a pretty big human being.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I had 2. I was double fisting Coors Light or Bud Lights or something like that. I don't remember exactly what beverage it was, but I was like, oh cool, that's Connor Williams, and he walks straight up to me, and goes, give me one of those.
Exactly.
And I was just like, here you go.
That's it.
Cool.
No questions asked. Do one of those.
Any other person, I'd probably be like, what? Like, no. But I was like, oh, okay. You're too big for me to ask questions.
Exactly. It's a different vibe when big humans, when there are multiple, usually in life, you'll see 1 or 2 of those guys hanging out. But hanging out together, it's like when you see the volleyball team hanging out together, you're like, whoa, look at these beautiful Amazon athletes just hanging out. You don't see 6'3" women all hanging out together. You don't see 6'5", 300-pound humans hanging out like 10 at a time, like a herd. You know what I mean? When they party, they party.
I can't imagine.
It takes a little bit for them to get a buzz. So it takes a lot for a 350-pound human being to get a buzz. So you imagine.
And if you hang out 4 or 5 of them.
They just, oh man, it's weird to see.
It's the one time you're on 6th Street looking for likes to fight guy. You're like, okay, come on, let's go.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to mess with you when you got that group with you. Yeah, you good.
Yeah,
you're good.
It's good. No, it's good. And there was one. I think it was John Elmore. They came over, and then they would just show up. Like, hey, we're coming over. And
like
course,
Ty, give me one of those.
I think it was Elmore. Was like, hey, I've got a keg in the trunk. I'm like, well, bring it up. Come on. And so this dude, I was going to go help him. He grabbed that thing, picked it up by himself,
exactly. Well,
carried it up the flight of stairs. It's like, Dude, all right, that's different kind of strong.
Yeah, and the ladies are drawn to this herd of big humans too.
Yeah,
They always have pack groups of ladies just hanging out with because I think it's like protection. Like they just they know that nobody's gonna mess with this group of large human beings. So,
but they were all, unlike Dan Neal, very kind guys.
No, they're all
dudes.
nice. They're teddy bears, but But imagine Casey Studdard was one of those guys. Casey Studdard was partying, hey, it's a different level. You know what I mean? When he's going to party, it's going to be a different level.
That's right.
They play hard, they party hard.
Well, let me just say, that's kind of a personal story, but it reminds me because that's the last time Texas had, at least according to the University of Texas Athletic Department game notes.
Yep.
This season is the first time since those teams, 1992-93, that the Longhorns had at least 4 offensive linemen returning from the year's previous line.
It's an amazing stat. Yeah.
That is an amazing stat. And I'm like, well, that was my offensive line. That was my group.
That was your group. That was your people.
My group of Longhorns.
And you had some good ones on there too. Yeah. Dan Neal and Blake Brockamore. That's amazing.
John Elmore was a real good player. And they were good dudes. They were good dudes.
Give me 2 of them. We good.
And I understood my place. It was all about the apartment. I mean, we had room.
Hey, but you had the show palace, baby. Hey, it was clean.
And how about this? To wrap up that story, it was not a nice apartment, but it was big. So
how many parties did y'all end up having a week randomly? Even down coming the after party, coming home from
it's hard to count because at St. Ed's people would have their apartment parties or their house parties and they'd always get broken up by the cops and they'd be let's go over to London Square.
And then they drift over to y'all's place.
At least I got to sleep in my own bed most nights. That was the good thing.
Who cleaned up the apartment all the time? You were that guy. See, there's always somebody. You got to have somebody in the crew that is just kind of OCD and they want to keep things clean. That was you. Good for you.
Or you just don't clean.
You got to have somebody in the crew. We had somebody in the crew.
We cleaned once a month. And my house it's similar where it was people at 3 a.m. were just walking through the doors hey, what's going on?
Well, you got to have somebody.
That was me.
Yeah, that was you. See?
Because I couldn't live that way.
We lived amongst rats, hundreds of rats.
See, that would not work.
Oh, no, we can't have that.
I didn't care what the guys did in their own bathroom and in their own room, but in the main area.
The common areas,
that was
the shared areas, they got to be cleaned up.
And the little factoid on me and my little OCD issue, I couldn't, even if we had a party, I couldn't go to bed until it was clean.
Cleaned up all the bottles and cans.
I hated waking up to it. I hated waking up to it.
Oh, yeah. I'd love. See, you can imagine, Rod B was
everybody get up and the house would be clean, vacuumed.
And they just take it for granted like a soup, there you go.
Well, because then I knew I could crash and sleep in and not have to get up and worry about cleaning. So I just do it while the adrenaline was still pumping.
You live with people like Todd that cleaning was never going to be a priority for them anyway.
No, that was a priority for me.
I clean. Back in those days, there was no point.
Yeah, no,
it was like 2 hours later.
It wasn't like Martha Stewart clean, but it was clean.
No, it was clean up.
I'll throw away the beer cans.
Yeah,
it was.
I used to be a cleaner. I was one of the guys that come up and like, oh man, we got to clean this up.
And I couldn't do it in the morning. I had to do it at night. Sometimes like 3 in the morning.
He's been responsible from the jump. Look at him. He's been the responsible one in the crew.
And that was fun. But those were good dudes, and that's amazing. It's been that long since the Longhorns have had that with all these returning offensive linemen.
Big humans, baby. And by the way, the upside of the backups. I don't know if it's been this good since mid-2000s, where you may return a lot of guys, but then you got guys behind them potentially whose upside could be even higher.
We'll hear Sark on those positional battles and where they're fighting. Interior guard for sure, interior line. I will say one more point on that apartment at London Square. No, literally, it was on the second floor.
I gotta go.
You can
imagine. Have you seen the apartment still? It's
torn down.
Yeah, torn down. Okay.
So because it was kind of a dumpy place, but there was the apartment was 2 apartments, and below one of them was just storage. They had old washers and dryers and refrigerators and all kinds of stuff in there. Nobody lived there.
What'd y'all do?
And then under the other one, I never got in there. Under the other one was, this is not a lie. This sounds like something I'm making up. A guy named Chico. Literally. And Chico had a wife and a young baby.
Chico.
And he sold marijuana.
Chico, baby.
That's what he did.
Oh, y'all kept Chico. Y'all was supporting the family.
Chico was a great dude. So the point is, whenever we would have parties, no one would call the cops. We'd have no one call the cops. Because Chico, that's the last thing he wanted around the house.
Hey, that's business. Chico, I'm sure y'all would come. People are like, hey, can I get something? Hey, go see Chico down there. Chico take care.
Chico got you.
That is great. Yeah, that is so that spot was
that's a story.
Okay.
That's legendary.
Yes, that's why it was the spot. You guys had
my group of people's lore in that apartment for 1 year. For 1 year,
built-in party favors on scene too. Oh man,
it was good.
Oh, that was a good life. How long did y'all live there?
1 year.
Just 1 year,
Yeah,
and
19.
You still remember it.
Oh man.
That's how much. Oh man, I remember.
It was. I mean, just think about a 2,000 square foot apartment. I mean,
exactly.
We had ping pong table, we had dartboard, and we had all. It was
amazing.
a party house.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because you could normally at a party it gets broken up because everybody's inside.
There's too many people there and it's crowded and spills over. Yeah,
spills over and people.
But
start
now you get everybody in.
Everybody's inside.
Everybody's inside.
Nobody's outside.
Yeah, good point. And Chico's, he ain't complaining. Usually the people downstairs will complain.
Just don't wake up the baby.
Just don't wake. Chico, don't wake up the baby, man. You're good. You're good.
We're straight if you do that.